controversial incentivizing of the church to the bold proposition of granting a tax amnesty for a year to the formalization of the small-scale mining sector. The Vice President has taken his door-to-door campaign of bold solutions for the future to his hometown in Waliwale in the Northeast region. Now this week, the ship docked in the Northeast region. Here are the excerpts. Do stay with us.
System to my heart, which I have not mentioned, which is LGBTQ, whatever. As I have said, and I will say again, it is not going to be allowed. We will never allow men to marry men, women to marry women. The Bible doesn't agree, the Quran doesn't agree, our values don't agree, and it will not happen. Pure and simple. Thank you very much.
You're welcome back. My name is Epifania Chokotogligui and this is ABC News Ghana. Do know that there's a comprehensive coverage of the official campaign tour of the Vice President. Now this happens to be his third week since he began his campaign tour. The flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party, as part of his digitalization agenda, donated laptop computers to students of the Nalerugu Senior High School. Let's take a look at that video.
In the last few months, we have completed a few projects in NAS. First of all, I have been able to build a food cooking laboratory. And then I was told about the computer lab which needed renovation. So I have renovated the computer lab for you. But a computer lab without computers is useless. Yes. So I have provided some computers for the lab. So I have provided 50 laptops to the team. And I have also donated a pickup to Nalerugu Secondary School. So we'll give this to the board chair, who will give it to you symbolically, and then I'll go and inspect the computer lab where most of it are displayed. But I want you to enjoy. We are in a digital age, so you will need the computers, and I want you to use them very, very well and to do well and pass your exams. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Well, currently the Vice President is in the Savannah region. He's at Damongo, where he's about to address the clergy. Let's go to my colleague Abna, who is at the Damongo Community Center. Hello Abna, what's the report from Damongo?
Hello Epifania, Damongo is hot. The sun, as expected, is shining really bright. Here we are at the forecourt of the office of the Member of Parliament for Damongo, where the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, will be engaging the clergy. He will be outlining his policies to the clergy in hopes that on 7th December 2024, he be voted into power as the next president of the Republic of Ghana. Very soon we'll be engaging with some of the clergy, but we have many of them here from across various denominations, and we are waiting the arrival of the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia.
Okay, but have you been able to talk to anybody, and what are some of the expectations of the attendees, of the Pafi faithfuls who are there?
Yeah, we are yet to engage with them. Like I said, Damongo, the sun is scorching very much here, so we'll be going to them to speak with them. So very soon we'll be speaking to them as they relax. They are at the moment relaxing as they await the arrival of the flag bearer of the NPP.
Okay, thank you so much, Abna. We'll come to you when the Vice President arrives to address the clergy. Okay, now Back in the studio, I want to take us, let's go look at how the campaign began. No, he began his campaign tour of the northern part of the country in his hometown, Wale Wale. Now, he also cut the sword for the construction of an astroturf at Gambaga, where he met with the clergy, the imams, and he also addressed the regional house of chiefs, after which he interacted with the youth at the usual youth connect town hall meeting, which it takes place at almost every region that he steps to. That was basically a look at what happened on Monday. Now let's look at what his day is going to be like today. So he's going to address the clergy, and that's going to take place at the Damango Community Center, after which he will also address the imams, and that's taking place at the MP's office in Damango. He would also pay a courtesy call on the Savannah Regional House of Chiefs at the Jakba Palace in Damongo. He will visit the EC office in Damongo. He would also engage in a meet and greet at the Damongo market, and then embark on a house-to-house campaign in Atributo. Now he would finally engage in a youth connect town hall meeting at the Damongo AstroTurf. So basically you realize that this follows a setting parting: the chiefs, the clergy, the imams, and then the youth. And then he does engage in a door-to-door campaign, and also takes time to go into the market to interact with the market women, in other regions the taxi drivers, and in some the spare parts dealers and the auto mechanics. So you're able to tell that he's actually drafted a setting pattern with which he is working with. Now, before we get back to Damongo to take a look at what's happening there, let's look at how crucial being in this. I want us to put the 5 regions app in the north into focus. So let's look at what this whole campaign in the north is going to do for the NPP. So you realize that we're looking at who is going to win the race when it comes to the regions app in the north. Now, let's do a little throwback. So in 2016, you realize that NPP had 3 seats in the north, that's constituency wise, and NDC also had 3 seats, so it was basically a tie. Now in 2020, NPP managed to snatch 1 seat from the NDC, and then they had 4 seats whilst the NDC had 2 seats. This was in 2020. Now when we come to look at the northern part, looking at 18 seats from 2016 to 2020. Now in 2016, NPP had 9 seats, and that was the northern region. Now NPP had 9 seats, NDC also had 9 seats. In 2020, they tied. When you move to the Savannah region, which happens to be the hometown where he is today, which is the hometown of his opponent. Now over there, it's 7 seats, a total of 7 seats. Now NPP in 2016, they had 1 seat. Now in 2020, they had 3 seats. Managed to snatch 2 more from the NDC. The NDC in 2016 had 6 seats, and in 2020 lost 2 seats to the NPP, so they actually retained 4 seats in the Savannah region. Now looking at the Upper East region, where it's 15 constituencies. If you see the seats, we're talking about constituencies. In 2016, the NPP had 3 seats and the NDC had 12 seats. So you realize that in all the regions we're looking at, NDC seems to have the upper hand. Now in 2020, 2 of the, and then they went to NDC that had 12 seats in 2016, actually gained the 2 seats, and they had 14 seats. That's in the Upper East region, and that was in 2020. Looking at the Upper West region, there's a total of 11 constituencies. In 2016, you realize that NPP had 5 seats and NDC had 6 seats. Now in 2020, NPP lost 2 of their seats to NDC. So NDC actually gained 2, which from 6 they moved to 8 seats in 2020. And then when you're going to look at the regional performance per the presidential election results from 2016 to 2020. Now looking at the northern region, you realize that in 2016 NPP had 41.3% when it came to the votes, and that was at 286,868 votes. and NDC had 56.1%, and that was 389,132 votes. So looking at the difference between NPP and NDC, NPP had 41.3% and NDC had 56.1%. But in 2020, NPP actually gained, so they gained 5.1%. They moved from 41.3% to 46.4% with 399,071 votes, while NDC actually lost. So they moved from 56.1% to 52.6%, and they had 452,063 votes. Now, looking at the trend, can look at it. 1996, moving from the military era into the PNDC era, coming down, you realize that the green line on your screen that you're watching actually is for NDC and the blue line is for NPP. So please do try and follow the chart. So in 1996, you realize that NPP had 39.8% and NDC had 55.7%. Now in 2000, NPP had 34.3% and NDC had 50.8%. Now in 2004, NPP had 35.6%, NDC had 61.1%. In 2008, NPP had 38.1% and NDC had 58.4%. Now in 2012, NPP had 38.8% and NDC had 58.6%. In 2016, NPP had 41.3% and NDC had 56.1%. And finally, in 2020, NPP had 46.4% and NDC had 52.6%. Basically, what this is telling us is that NDC has always had the upper hand when it comes to the 5 regions in the north. You realize from all the constituency results I was giving you from 2016 to 2020, NDC has always had the upper hand. So this is a crucial place for them. If they're able to win seats in the different regions in the north, they'll be able to turn the tables in their favor, and it's a crucial battle point. They lose seats, they gain seats in certain areas, but the NDC has had an upper hand. Now we can say this is influenced because first off, his opponent is coming from the Savannah region, and it's very key to actually have a Muslim or somebody who is from the north as your running mate, but when he is running for the presidency, it becomes a different matter. But this is going to be the first time we're going to have 2 sons from the north running for the seat of presidency. How is this going to turn out, and what is going to affect the results? How is NPP going to benefit? What do they need to do to turn the seat in their favor? And what do NDC need to do to maintain the authority they have in the northern part of the country? We'll be going straight to the Damango Community Center where our colleague Abna is ready for us.
Want to system get to my heart, which
You're still watching ABC News Ghana. Let's go straight to Damango, where we're going to the MP's office, where the Vice President is yet to address the clergy.
Hello, Epiphania. I am here at the forecourt. Hello, Epiphania.
The report from Damango.
So I have with me a number of pastors, and they'll be speaking to me about the expectations leading to today's conversation. Hello, Pastor.
Hello, I am in the person of Reverend David Al-Hassan Malabajera, the pastor of Assemblies of God, Daboya, River of Life, and the chairman for the North Gonja Local Council of Churches. I have two main expectations. Whereas we have escaped the vice president and the presidential candidate of the NPP in the Gonja land as the king of unity, we will wish that the problem that is between the Gonjas and the Mampusis, that is the Savannah and the Northeast, should be solved. It's something that is actually bothering us, and our people are actually suffering. Their farm produce being burnt, and the people are actually suffering. We will wish that the vice president look at that. And also, being a region, we can see that we don't have colleges, especially of education. We only have one college of education, and it is not well resourced. The other time we have a conversation with the principal of the college. Even motorbike, in terms of somebody not feeling well to rush the person to hospital, they don't have. Even a motorbike they don't have. We will wish the vice president and the presidential candidate will be able to resource that school, being the only training college in the Savannah region, at least with a pickup or a minibus that can facilitate transportation. Thank you so much. That's my expectation.
Okay, thank you, Pastor David Al-Hassan. Pastor David Al-Hassan is a pastor with the Assemblies of God in the North Gonja district. Hello, Pastor.
Yes, I'm also Reverend Emmanuel Amwako Krantin, the Christ Apostolic Church International Bupi Circuit, and then the chairman of the Local Council of Churches in the district. That is Bupi. Yes. I'm also expecting that today that His Excellency is come to meet us to discuss issues pertaining to development of our nation. I'm expecting that some issues on our education will be addressed, because when you look at Bupe or the Central Gonja district, we lag behind when it comes to education. Infrastructure is a problem, and then human resource too is a problem. So I'm anticipating that the vice president will be able to touch issues with regards to education. I'll be able to facelift the education in the Central Gonja district. And then also, we can't leave out our health systems. Our health systems are also deteriorating. I mean, getting some CHIPS compounds at some remote areas will really help, because my people would have to live from far places to the district hospital. Some will have to even be in Motokins to the district hospital. We wish that some of these things are addressed. And when you even come to Bupe, we are having challenges when it comes to water. Sometimes we have a river around that side, and it can even be overflowing that it floods some people places. So I want to suggest that I'm expecting that the vice president will touch on issues of water system in the Central Gonja district and then Savannah region at large. And lastly, also to look at agriculture and food security. Now, you know, when you look at Central Gonja district, we have vast lands, but it is not all the lands that are cultivated. And when it comes to dry season, everything comes to a standstill. No work, nothing happens. The youth have nothing doing. But when we are able to go into serious irrigation farming, then year round we'll be farming in Savannah and Central Gonja district, and the district will develop. So I'm expecting this thing from the vice president, and I'm believing that he will do that. And then also lastly, let's also turn our eyes to also support the Christian community up here. When you come to the top here, the Christian community is sidelined, even at places. I want to take this opportunity to even thank His Royal Majesty Jinapo II, who has allowed the Christian community to be in his palace every Friday. That he sit with his traditional council. He want to meet the pastors and pray with them and do everything with them. And it's something that I will entreat that the traditional council up here embrace that and bring us all together, because in unity there is peace. so that we'll be able to go through everything we are doing as a people, because without peace we cannot develop, and without unity we cannot also thrive. So since peace thrives on unity, let's unite ourselves together and let love also prevail in everything we do. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Amwako. So that's Reverend Amwako. Hello, Pastor.
Hello.
What are your expectations leading to the conversation this morning with the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP?
Okay, thank you very much. I am Reverend Samuel Mahama Dinkeri, West Gunja Council of Churches member. We are here, like you said, on the invitation of our Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, and his party fraternity, to interact and to share ideas. So basically, I feel privileged to be here on behalf of the Christian fraternity within the West Gunja, that is Damango, which is also the capital, capital of the Savannah region. Well, my expectations are high, but I will not want to duplicate what my colleagues have mentioned. But I'm particularly looking at peaceful elections. If I have the opportunity, I'll be stressing on what he should do or what he will do with regards to the upcoming elections. Because, like my colleague mentioned, peace is very important in our national life and things like that. But I am also particular about a mainstream university for Savannah region. We only have colleges of education and colleges of health in Savannah region. And so if I'm privileged to speak, I would like to appeal to him, since he's campaigning and soliciting our support to become president in the next, after the next election, to particularly pay attention to education in Savannah region, and particularly give us a mainstream university. I'm also concerned about illegal mining or degradation of our environment, illegal mining, charcoal burning. These are issues that are really bothering on us. Particularly on the issue of illegal mining, water that we consume are becoming unsafe for us. So I want to hear, in actual fact, what he has to say with regards to water and then illegal mining. My last thing I would like to hear from him have to do with our water situation, particularly for us in Damango. In about 4 years ago, a sword was cut to begin the Damango water project. But it's been almost 4 years now. We want to have an update on what has truncated, if that be the case, the process, and what assurance he is giving us about the Damango water situation. Basically, these are my expectations. I know that my colleagues from the other parts of the region have equally important issues to also put before our Vice President. So I look forward to a very interactive moment with him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Pastor is looking forward to an interactive conversation with him, especially with regards to their water situation in the region. Pastor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
What is your expectation, or what are your expectations leading up to this conversation with
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Reverend Tonkomun Augustine. I'm the chairman for Local Council of Churches for East Gonja, Salaga. Yes, this is a great opportunity for us to come and interact with the Vice President, and there are many things I expect. One of the things I expect him to talk about is about our road networks, especially the Salaga-Tamale route. It's been working on, but there's still a lot to be done. So I expect him to say something about it. And one other thing I expect him to talk is about power supply. The East Gonja and Salaga in particular, the power supply is very, very bad. Almost every day we have 2 to 3 light-offs. So I pray that you say something about it, and I hope to hear that a new substation will be created in the Salaga East Enclave to give us stable water. One other areas I will expect him to say something about is about education, especially this region. We look at the performance of BCE and WASI comparatively with other regions. We are just at the bottom. So hoping that you say something. If some of the schools don't have teachers teaching learning materials are not there. Especially you say something about teacher supply and then materials. So we're looking forward to other national issues like the LPGQ issue. And then also we are going to elections. You need to assure us of his stand on peaceful elections. These are some of the things I expect him to address.
In his recent conversations with other members of the clergy in other regions, he mentioned that he'll be incentivizing churches. What is your response to that?
You say?
He mentioned that there will be incentives for churches when he is voted into power. What is your response to that, and what are you expecting?
Well, as a church, we are there to pray. The Bible says we should pray for all those in authority. So we do the praying for them to run programs that will help the entire nation. Whatever incentives you want to also support us so that we can keep praying for the nation to be welcome. Yes. But we need peace to be able to have our church services. And then also, we also go to some places to have program as a church. Sometimes we have resistance. So if you actually also ensure that religious tolerance is practiced throughout, we can go to all the communities and open churches. That will be another thing that will be an incentive to us.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
So far from our conversations with members of the clergy, these are some of the issues they are facing in the Savannah region. Issues about water, clean water, electricity, education. These are some of the issues they are facing, and they hope that it is sorted out. I have with me Honorable Asamoah Boateng. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Sir, the clergy here have expressed certain concerns concerning what they are facing, in particular to this region. Most of it are education issues, because they said the level of education here isn't the best. Issues about tolerance and peace, and issues about electricity and water. The Vice President is here to speak with them. He has a lot of plans for the clergy and for the nation as a whole. What should we expect from this conversation with him today?
Thank you very much. Today we've started the campaign for our flag bearer, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia, in the Savannah region. We just arrived in the Damongo capital and went to see the overlord. And now he's on his way here. My role as the Minister for Religious Affairs, for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, is to go ahead of him after the initial arrangement and to interact with them, as you saw me going around and shaking their hands and all that. As to the issues, when it comes, it will be laid bare, and they would have the opportunity to interact with him. Indeed, that's why he's coming. The two key reasons why he's here, or wanting to see the clergy and the imams as well. Number one is for him to seek their blessings and to pray with him as he embarks on this journey. You need God's mercy and guidance and the blessings. Otherwise, sometimes even your health deteriorates or fails you. You wake up in the morning, you can't walk. There's nothing you can do. Your campaign is come to a halt. So you need God on your side mostly. So he insists that we meet the clergy and pray for him, and we share, then we talk. Then the second one, as I said, is also to interact and share ideas. And of course, if the clergy are talking about issues that he's going to discuss and talk about, it's all in order. Issues of education, health, electricity and all that, you mentioned them. It's not just a worry for a clergy, it's a worry if there's an issue that we have to discuss. And I believe that it is what makes him want to lead this country as well. The education side, for instance, we all know that in this part of Ghana was a bit low intake, and most people were not probably interested. Since the NPP government led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo brought in the free senior higher education, you could see the jump, you could see the enthusiasm, and enrollment is jumped. Almost about 1.4 million enrollment, and which is unprecedented. Obviously, you notice Kufo also brought in the school feeding and all that. So there's been a concerted effort to get education as a priority. If you educate a child, that's the most important thing. I give myself as an example. Growing up, my mom was a baker, my father was a farmer. Who were not described as rich, we were a poor community, but my mom insisted that we have to go to school, although she didn't. My father went, but he finished at standard 7. But we all went to school, and God has brought me thus far. My younger brother is a medical officer, and from where we were born in Kono, no way we could have reached this far. Education did it. And so that is significant, that this government, NPP government, takes care of our youth and our young generation education. So this one, but beyond the free senior high, Dr. Bawumia is talking about the next level, which is digitalization. These days, without the computer systems and data and processing of data and storage of data and retrieval and analyzing it, and if you don't know, you may go to learn everything, but that alone will not move you. So he's taking us to the next level, not only in education, but what that is also bringing us is that the modern technology is taking us to a level where issues that we've been grappling with as a nation, slow development, corruption, and somehow the discipline that somehow we lack, is all going to be tackled. Take for corruption, for example. It happens if people are talking and engaging, and there's a delay, somebody wants a quick delivery of service, and they give you something and you take it. And so the interaction of human beings is good, but sometimes too it enables the corrupt practices to live with us. Whereas if we introduce and move away to the digitalization system where you are working with information on the screen, and you have to file your tax systems, and nobody comes to your shop to ask you for the money where you bribe them. You can't bribe the computer, can you? And nobody's asking you to bribe them before you file in your tax returns. So those are the kind of issues he's bringing along. And so that deals with it. Then you're talking about electricity. It's been our bane for a while, because we started with hydroelectricity, electric power. We've introduced some other fossil fuel, gas and all that. But it's still not solving the problem, because the demand is outstripping the supply in a way. And especially in the peak hours where we normally have shutdowns and all that. So we need to go beyond that. And he's talking about solar, which we know. I mean, with the sun beating me and you here, why don't we make use of it? In the past, everybody complained about the initial capitalization for solar, because to really set it up, the batteries and the panels and all that. But now solar is becoming relatively easier and cheaper in a way. But he will invest, and he's talking about 2,000 megawatts of introduction of solar energy, and that would help us to reduce the cost of electricity. He's talking about reducing the cost of living generally, and part of it is also food. The food, most of our money goes into food, and goes into transportation, and goes to electricity. Those are the three key areas that combine to make cost of living difficult in Ghana. And these are basic things that people live, whether you like it or not. You are working out to travel, to transport comes in. And whether you like it or not, you have to light your house or your small little shop. And you have to eat, and your children. So he is focusing on that, and those are issues he will discuss with us. So the clergy because the clergy also, apart from the spirituality and praying for us and interceding for us and all that, they do more. Indeed, the house of the catechist or the reverend minister becomes like the point of call when there's danger or there's trouble in the community. When somebody is hungry, for all you know, they go and beg for something from the pastor. Or somebody has, in the past, when there's school fees problem, they go there. Or when there's a quarrel in the house between a man and a woman, that's where they go. And so they tackle the spiritual, but also tackle the human aspect. So for us, partnering them, or government partnering them, it's an obvious task. And Dr. Bawumia talks about that we need a partnership with our spiritual leaders, apart from the prayers they give us, we need to find a ways and means to work together. And that's what he's talking about. For instance, me, when I was growing up in life, I wanted to be a pastor. And when I became a politician, my mom was wondering, Kojo, what happened to you? And I said, I'm doing the same thing, except that maybe ours is more the physical needs of the people. So we're looking after education, health, and all that, which you can see. The pastors do things sometimes spiritually you cannot see, and which is what also helps the flock of Christ and the church to move. So people get depressed, they get uncertainty, and they are anxious. The prayer sessions and the communal spirit of the church, it lifts their spirits up, and they begin to move again. So that combination of physical delivery of service and the spiritual upliftment of human beings is the partnership we are seeking. And so that's what the pastors are important for us.
Others have raised concerns that there should be a separation between the church and the state. That we must not marry the church and the state too much, because then there's an influence from the church into the state. What would you say about that?
I don't know. Those who have heard that, but I always argue that they probably haven't read the Bible enough. What we're doing in politics started in the Bible. And what the church is doing sometimes is also political. Pastors, if you go to Exodus chapter 18 and you look at how Moses led the Israelites and had to administer justice and also administer maybe delivery of physical things like food, and though manna will fall, but it's not every time manna falls from heaven. There was a time when he was exhausted because the numbers that he was dealing with so much. So his father-in-law, Jethro, came to him and said, Moses, what are you doing? You exhaust yourself. You're dealing with all this crowd on your own. No, find a way. And the way to do that is to group the people in numbers of 10, 20, 50, hundreds, and find people who fear God, men and women who fear God, and let them head those groups and let them deal with the daily problems. And when they are overwhelmed, they bring it to you as a leader. That is government. That's a structure of government. So there's a president, there are ministers, there are MPs. You understand? The assemblymen. That's the structure that's in the Bible, in Exodus. When you talk about election, which is what politicians should think we do, and people think that you are a politician, you shouldn't get involved in church. The church should not get involved. When Judas somehow removed himself from the disciples by betraying Jesus Christ, the apostles, when they met, they realized that they needed somebody to replace Judas, to make the number 12 again. So they met, and there was a deliberate attempt by the leaders to find somebody who God knows, or God knows the heart. So they selected two people, Matthias, we go to Acts of the Apostles, Matthias and Barsabbas. But before they could select which one of them, they prayed. The pastors prayed that, God, you know the heart of these two men. Which one should God will select to replace Judas? And when they prayed about it, you know what? They voted. They voted. The apostles. It's in the Bible. So somebody said they should separate. I don't understand.
Beyond the prayer, we should vote.
But it's part of it to tell you that they go together. And I began my interview with you by saying that beyond the spirituality they give us, they also deal with human demands. The school fees, like fights in the home, like hunger. So they're dealing with the physical as well. So if politician is there and they are not behaving well, and there is no food on the table for people, the pastor must step in and say, hey, you, otherwise we'll vote against you. If a pastor says there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing wrong. Somehow, it is sometimes the way they present it, sometimes people think you are being political on one side or the other. But I've come across pastors who are very impartial, objective, and they will say the truth. For us, the politicians, we say we don't get angry with it. So for me as a Christian, I understand what they're doing. Although they're in the pulpit, they're talking about how schools are not being run properly, or how people are hungry, or why electricity is down. You know, I understand the pastor very well. My job is to listen to them and go and correct it. Make sure that we satisfy what he's talking, because he's leading a flock. And maybe he hears more than we do. That's why we need partnership. Thank you.
In partnership, the Supreme Court has ruled that traditional leaders mustn't involve themselves actively in our politics. How are we going to draw a fine line between traditional leadership and politics, so much so that there is impartiality? Our traditional leaders don't come across as looking for a certain interest and satisfying that interest.
It's not the Supreme Court, it's in our constitution. They cannot. But the constitution is so clear. It says partisan politics. And it's in the Chieftaincy Act. It says chiefs must not involve in partisan politics. But they can do politics, not partisan.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't. You can't take sides and say I am NPP, NDC, or CPP or whatever. No, they're not allowed. A chief is not allowed. But the politics that they do is to ensure that they get the development in the area. That's politics. If you are not getting the development, the president comes here, you don't want to tell him. You tell him. That's politics. If the opposition comes and you think that he's probably better than the other one, you don't say, well, I'm supporting you. But you say, look, yes, I'm lacking some few things, but if God wills and you become the next president, please, these are my concerns. That is not politics. That's not partisan. That's politics. He's telling you that I need something. And so it's how they put it and how they present the case. But as to politics, chiefs are part. They deal with the community. They get a lot more problems they solve. Especially in the area where they resolve conflicts. And we encourage it. Even the law encourages it. The Chieftaincy Act 208, Section 63D, talks about a call by a chief to the palace. You should obey. You should go. Somebody took it to Supreme Court and said, well, how can a chief just call anybody? Some may abuse it. So Supreme Court then said, oh, it's possible. So don't use that at the moment. And hold on. So that we are in abeyance, whether the chief can call you or not. Sometimes the chief calls a young man, causing trouble in the community. He doesn't want to come because it's a modern world. He said, no, go and report me to the police, go to the court. But as a government, me in particular, I believe. I'm from the police too. And I also believe that they are partners in governance. Chiefs, when I was growing up, deal with petty problems in the community, a land dispute. They know the people involved, they call them amicably, they settle it. It doesn't have to go to the courts. And it brought peace. So I believe we should find a way to restore that authority back to them. And so that they can deal with some aspect of governance at the lower level, at the district assembly level, get them involved in the district assembly decision making, but let them also have their powers. And then also it must go with their resources, because if they have to deal with this matter, there's no money for them to be said. Then I suppose my ministry has tried to get the allowances to them as early as they can, but it's small. Allowance of 1,000, which is taxable, is nothing to write home about. So we're looking at how to increase it. Indeed, in our manifesto for this election, which will come out, I can tell you we've met with the House of Chiefs, the National House of Chiefs, and we're looking at a possibility of bringing a living allowance, so that when cost of living moves up, the allowance also is commensurate with it, rather than just get stuck with the figure. But don't forget, when Akufo-Addo government came in, the allowance for chiefs was just 400 Ghana cedi a month. We came in, we moved to 1,000. So we've done something, although it's still small. So we've moved beyond even allowance, and we are suggesting and proposing a chieftaincy development fund, similar to the District Assembly Common Fund. And I'm working on that in my ministry. So it's going to be part of the amendment to the Chieftaincy Act, which we can insert. As to how the source of money for that, which we can, there are various sources. Their royalties can be part of it, or we can take some percentage. Some chiefs have huge resources they are sitting on, gold, minerals, and all that, timber, you understand? So we can discuss how these resources can be channeled, some of them into the fund. We can even look at taxation for the country, so we can take some tax, maybe VAT, take some percentage from what we pay and give it into the fund. There's so many options, but that's a proposal, and it's coming in the amendment that I propose to go to cabinet, to come to parliament, and if we agree, then the chiefs can manage that. They don't have to wait for me, the politician, to come and give them a bus before they vote for me. No, they can decide if they need a bus for the traditional area, they go and buy their own bus. So we give them the autonomy, the independence, then they can be objective then they can sit up and tell you, the president, that we don't like what you're doing, stop it, because now I'm not coming for a bath from you anyway. Or they can tell the minister, you see, because if you're not careful and you give them money or you control money, they're careful how they talk to you, isn't it? So it's a revolutionary thing that Dr. Bawumia is bringing, and the chiefs like it. I've sent the amendment to the National House of Chiefs since last year, October, September. The responses from the regional houses are coming. Hopefully it should be with me by the end of the month, and I'll take it to my colleagues in cabinet, president, and the team will sit down, and if it's accepted, then we take it to parliament. So there's a lot that this government is doing. When it comes to election, everybody seems to get confused and oh, they're all the same. That's not true. We are all the same. NPP is different from NDC. We know that. When we come, development goes on. Look at Kufuor's era. Whatever we did to bring social intervention, we did. If you ask the NDC to give you one social intervention, I cannot remember any social intervention they brought. Look at the free senior high. Maybe we don't see it now and money is going in. Yes, it keeps us under pressure in terms of money. But can you imagine 20, 25 years time, the young people, and they are well educated, the manpower resource the country has got? Because as I give my own example, if I didn't go to school, I'd probably be selling a rat on the road or in Konongo, or I'd be going to fish in the sea from my mom's hometown in Kromanse. But education lifted me, and not only me, but I become like a pillar in the community. When I built my house, I'm not the only one living in the house. My whole family are living. We were scattered, but now everybody comes home. So you see one person, how become a pillar. So education is everything. We don't see it now, and people are complaining. Some people are even saying free education, if they had that 2 billion, they would never do free education. Now they know free education is good, and they want power again to do what? They didn't think about it. So we are different. But not only that, people are obviously using the current economic situation and saying that, oh, NPP hasn't done well. That's not true. Look at the economic indicators figures. Up to the end of Akufo-Addo's first term, all the indicators were positive. We even had single-digit inflation. The GDP was over 7%. But people forget, unfortunately, that COVID, from nowhere, we thought it was a Chinese problem. We all thought so. We thought it would never hit us. And it came. The country was shut down. There was no movement of planes or vehicles. There was nobody. We couldn't even meet and even talk. You remember? And when even the time came for us to meet, we were scared of being ourselves, so we had to greet with our shoulders like this. If we over here, there's no way we could meet. If somebody coughed in COVID time, we all run away. And of course, when the transportation, the logistical system shut down, the economy shuts down. So you have to start picking it up. Akufo-Addo said a profound thing. Statement. He made a profound statement that make sure you don't die, because if you die, there's nothing we can do. You're gone. It's only God that creates human beings. If you die, you're gone. But make sure you keep yourself alive. But when the economy collapses, forget about the economy. When it collapses, we know how to bring the economy back, and indeed, we are doing exactly that. Most importantly, and we tend to forget that, I was then the head of the State Interest and Governance Authority that oversees all the state agencies, ECG, Ghana Water, name it, and the public service. There was not a single person that we laid off. Nobody was dismissed from work. We kept everybody, paid them well. So, whereas other countries, they were shutting down systems and sending people home. And we kept that system afloat. Yes, it cost us a little energy to bring, but now the economy is moving, inflation is coming down seriously, food production is coming up, and so inflation on food is going down. And so the people who were in charge in the first term that knew how to do it, then we are doing it. And the system is not coming up. Now, people, when they talk, they forget and they want to bring back person who destroyed the economy, and we, on 2 occasions, Ghanaians said, no, go away. There was no COVID that time, and he couldn't run it. Now he thinks that he can run. I mean, how?
So you're asking Ghanaians to put their faith in the same people who didn't lay them off?
Well, yeah, we didn't lay anybody off. When they were there in those times, there was no major disaster in the oil. Yeah, they couldn't handle it. And the unfortunate thing is that when the former president, who is now challenging or wanting to come back, which God forbid, it won't happen, he goes to America and he talks about how the COVID has destroyed the African economy. How COVID has, Then he comes home and he says that the economy is hard. But he forgot that he went and he himself explained that the COVID did it. It's true. So why doesn't he admit it here? But because of politics, he shares that information. But when he's outside, he says it. Such hypocrisy and misunderstanding of human needs is not good. We need a consistent leader, and Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, who has shown that he can deliver. And not only that, God willing, if he gets the opportunity to serve, he has an opportunity, God willing, to come back and be accountable to the people. Because he has the opportunity to do that. Whereas a former president doesn't have one. The constitution limits him to one term if he ever gets in there. So once you put him there, he's not coming back to account to you anymore. So that's something wrong. What is the repercussion on him? Nothing. And he said something when he was there. He said the dead goat doesn't fear the knife. So he's a dead goat already. And so now he comes, it's a triple dead goat. So nothing, you say that he will mind you because he's not coming back anyway. So there's no accountability. And I believe Ghanaians are watching and they will make. So they are in town thinking that they won and they are distributing posts. The electorates are waiting. That's their job. Electorates, they make things out of what you are saying and everything. They will decide and we trust them. That's why we're on the ground.
Trust the electorate.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Minister. That's Honorable Stephen Asamoah Boateng. He is the Minister in charge for chieftaincy. And he says that they trust the electorate so much that they believe that the electorate is going to vote for Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia come December 7th. We have spoken to quite a number of the clergy. They have stated some of their issues here in the Savannah region, expecting that today, when the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, engages with them, he will touch on such matters of education, of electricity, of water, matters of peace, and hoping that it will settle their concerns. The Vice President will be here very soon to engage with the clergy in Damongo.
Comprehensive live coverage of the flag bearer Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia's regional tour.
We have a new policy that we are bringing. Persons with disability, Yabema almost scholarship to go to tertiary institutions. Ghana should move towards solar power. Yemu, you see, more solar power. We be Minerals Development Bank, said a Yeshisha Agri Development Bank. Section 63D of the Chieftaincy Act to give more powers to the chiefs so that chiefs can help government in the governance of the country. Then the question is church and taxes. Are we going to tax churches? You share a Juma church ayeno. In fact, we should rather be paying them. Ghana should move towards solar power. Yemu, you see, more solar power.
You're still watching ABC News Ghana. To help us appreciate the performance of the two main political parties, particularly in the northern sector of the country, we've been joined by the managing editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper and pollster, Ben Efson. Let me begin by picking your thoughts on the Vice President's nationwide campaign tour so far and the bold propositions he's been making since he started April 29th. Good afternoon, sir. You're welcome to ABC News Ghana.
Good afternoon to our listeners.
We'd like to pick your mind on the bold propositions that the Vice President has been making since he began his campaign tour so far.
Well, I think that, the Vice President is not a politician as such. He was a technocrat who got into politics by being Vice President, campaigning with Akufo-Addo 2 unsuccessful terms. Before the third term, they were successful. So he's brought some freshness to the way he's campaigning and his methods. Unlike, if maybe too young, but when Rawlings was campaigning for elective office, he brought some sort of freshness to the campaign. It wasn't a typical politician campaign like we saw Kufuor do later, Akufo-Addo. He's a technocrat who has been coming to politics. So he's bringing some directness, he's bringing some infusion of, here is what you want to hear, here is what I will do. So it's kind of a bit different, but the impact of it or not will be manifested when the results come out. But so far, so good.
Be working very well for the flag bearer, as he actually endears himself among the people, where he actually goes to the regions to interact with them on a personal basis.
Yes, I think that one of the things that he did for himself, I'm finishing my 7th book on Ghanaian elections, and I've been doing some work ongoing. And I think that one of the bold things he did was his lecture at the UPSC, in which he said that when he's elected president, he will scrap the e-levy. It was a signal that people, and that signal has been accepted by those it was meant for. It wasn't meant for NDC supporters or NPP supporters. It was meant for the swing voters. But he is kind of a mate. He's the vice president. His boss is the president. So by saying that when he comes, he will scrap it, it tells you that he was against the introduction of the e-levy. And when he boss says pass it, he had to pass it. That simple, singular act has endeared Bawumia to quite a bit of the swing voters. So the NDC attempt to blame him for the economic problems and so on, that has kind of watered it down a bit. But here is somebody who's not his own man. So, for him to say that when he comes, he will abolish e-levy, sent a signal that I obey my boss. So, and the NDC has not responded well. They've not seen the impact of that. And that is going well for him.
Them in being able to break the 8, because that is basically what they're aiming for.
Please try again. Hello?
Them in breaking the 8.
Oh, breaking the 8, if he's able to convince the swing voters are the kingmakers. And then you need to get your base to come out and vote. The NDC are in a bit of fix. Over the last 3 elections, there have been 3-4% reduction in one of their 2 strongholds. The NDC stronghold is the Volta and the North, the NPP stronghold, Ashanti and Eastern. In vote over the last 3 elections, the NDC vote has dropped. And in the north, the other stronghold, the NPP's votes have appreciated. So the kingmakers are the swing voters, which Dr. Bawumia seems to be doing well in trying to sell his message. I think that mainly majority of the swing voters take decision July, August, September. Those 3 months are the crucial months that they take a decision on who to vote for, and they are the kingmakers when it comes to elections.
You know, it's intriguing because we actually have 2 sons of the North contending. And given the checkered electoral history of both parties, what are the dynamics and the odds against the 2 main contenders?
Please come again.
I'm saying that we actually have 2 sons of the North contending against each other. And given the history of both parties, what are the odds or the against of these 2 main contenders?
No, the North traditionally vote NDC. So if the NPP is able to decrease the margin, you know, I told you that over the last, the NPP votes, also the last time, late last year, I mean, if you look at the results, the last 3 elections, 2012, 16, 2020, MPP votes in the NDC stronghold of the North has increased by 10%. Now we have the 2 coming from the North, and he's the one who sells his message well. That is, and if you look at the trend, it seems that the MPP has been doing well in the North in the last 2 elections. But ultimately, it's the swing regions, the kingmakers, Greater Accra Central in the main, who will decide eventually who wins.
But we realize that the MPP hasn't performed well in the Savannah, the Upper West and the Upper East regions, particularly between 2016 and 2020. Now, you have a northing descent to rival Mahama. What really could play to the advantage of the MPP having Dr. Bawumia in the contest this time?
Oh, I think that it is obviously having a northerner, the MPP having a northerner, someone from the north as their presidential candidates. That's the good. There may be chieftaincy issues that people might not vote for Bawumia, but there are others who think that, and these are young voters and swing voters who think that the MPP has broken the traditional political pattern and brought something from the north. So yes, the 2 are from the north. The NDC may have more percentage, but if the MPP narrows the gap, it is to NDC's disadvantage.
That's true. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. You're watching ABC News Ghana. Do stay with us. We'll still bring you more things shortly.
I also want to digitalize land. A lot of our disputes in court, I was talking to the Chief Justice just
Dr. Bawumia in Fene, Sakamba Bambus University Chum, and Yutama will to Bura, the carbon way, and Chomo to Busura, and my own beto. The Palmaso, come in, you feel Dr. Bawumia, Akata Busura, Fene Mototo, on the Cabrana. Now, you not our fellow to talk. You must move about our fellow Kibia. I'm so Cabare, and Cabare, and you will that you will be Baraga. Now, if you are, you will time, wishing to so last wish to.
I am greeting all of you this morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very happy and honored to be in Busunu today. I am doing my tour of the Savannah region as the leader and presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. So many people thought it was not possible that the New Patriotic Party would elect a leader who is from the north, who also happens to be Muslim, to lead the party. Many people thought it was not possible that the New Patriotic Party would elect a leader who is from the north, who also happens to be Muslim, to lead the party. Many people say, Allah, it is possible. And God made it possible. And today, I am going around the country with the support of Christians.
You're still watching ABC News Ghana. We're going straight to Damongo, where the Vice President is yet to address the clergy. Let's go.
Dr. Mamadou Bawumia, to welcome you all, our men and women of God, drawn across the Savannah region. Indeed, all of us, the good book says that whatever you ask for, you should ask for wisdom. And in all humility and modesty, the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mamadou Bawumia, I want to believe that through the prayers of Bishop and all the pastors, the good Lord has given him wisdom. I say the good Lord is giving him wisdom because many people, when they start campaigning or when they want to bid for a position or a presidency, they first get about there and go into the market, go into the street, and begin to campaign and to canvass for votes. Dr. Bawumia said, no, let me come and seek for the intercession and intervention of the men and women of God. Those of you who speak and pray that the good Lord will listen. That is a man of God. That is a man who knows the teachings of Christ and the teachings of the Bible. And I believe that is why he's here, to seek for your intercession, seek for your intercessory prayer, and seek for your intervention and your blessings and your prayers. And when he gets out there, once he has those blessings, even when he doesn't speak, the people will hear him. Even when he doesn't campaign, the people will vote for him. Even when he doesn't move about, the people will embrace him. And that is why he's here. And that is why I stand on his behalf to welcome you very warmly and to say to you that we are in communion. We are together as one people, as one flesh, all of us, men and women of God, serving and worshiping one God. Thank you. God bless you. We welcome you. And I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, lawyer. Next on the bill is the general of all generals, the MP for Okere constituency, and the chairman for the 2024 campaign for the NPP, Chairman Dan Kweku Botwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Eminent clergy, His Excellency, and your team, men and women of God, we thank you very much for your patience and for waiting for our leader. Even though we have been surrounded by many people, I think we should sing a song before we start. I was conferring with my pastor. Unto the Lord be the glory, great things He has done. Unto the Lord be the glory, great things He has done. Great things He has done. Greater things He will do. Unto the Lord be the glory. Great things He has done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Distinguished men and women of God, we thank you once again. Our leader started his tour from Eastern region. I'm sure you have followed it from the media. We've been to Western, North, Ahafo, Bono East. We're in Northeast. And he has insisted with a strong faith in God that without God, we cannot do much. When we say it is possible because of God. And we always do emphasis. You see, we are politicians. And politicians, at times when you are talking, people think all that you are doing because of votes. But please, in the presence of men and women of God, this is something we believe in. Because that's the foundation of our party. And our leader believes it. That just as the MP for Damango said, that communion of our faith and in the spirit, we shall agree and we shall ask for your prayers and for your counsel and for your direction for this campaign. Because whatever we seek to do, by God's grace, to govern, is to take care of the welfare of the flock of which God has also put you in charge. We know that you don't only deal with the spiritual needs of your flock. I'm sure just as at times we pay school fees, you also, I'm sure your members come to you and you pay school fees. When members who are ill and they are in hospital, you help pay some of their hospital bills. So we have a common objective. But when we talk about our work together and the whole principle of democratic governance, we know, and you know it better, you are the theologians, we know the foundations of democracy, democratic practice, representative governance, where people are taken to take care of people, God's children. We say the foundation is in the scriptures. In Exodus chapter 18, when Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, visited him, after they have crossed the Red Sea, and he was counseling the people, he said, hey, Moses, what is it that you are doing? You cannot take care of all the people. Find people. And he said, able people. People who fear God. People who love the truth. People who hate covetousness. Put them in charge of 50, 100, 1,000. And when it is beyond them, then they will come back to you. This is what Jethro told Moses. So democratic governance, representative governance, it's not by Pluto or Socrates, although the foundation is in the scriptures. And again, when you come to the New Testament, in Acts chapter 1, from 20 going, when Judas fell out, the Lord should have said, this is the name. He said, no. There should be elections. And before they cast the Lord, they prayed, the apostles prayed, Lord, who knows the hearts of men? Between Matthias and Barsabbas, select one for us. One who will be able, one who will fear God and serve God. So we are convinced and convicted of it. And that's why we say there's that communion in the spirit. That what we seek to do is not just politics arranged by some philosophers. It has a foundation. Even to select one person to replace Judas, there was election. There was a ballot box, and they cast lot. But they prayed before and said, Lord, who knows the innermost hearts of men? And that's the prayer we seek from you. We are not here to say that, oh, please, go and campaign for us from your pulpit. No. We are saying that as we pray, God who knows the innermost hearts of men, God who loves his flock, God who knows what is good for his people, to help us select the right person. We strongly believe, and we strongly suggest to you that we believe that our leader, Dr. Bawumia, fits into that person. But you see, we live in the society that you know better. So much propaganda, so much negative thinking. The crowd, they are not always right. They are not always right. In all the Gospels, when it came to the point that Pilate said, shall I release Jesus to you or Barabbas to you? What did they say? What did they say? They wanted who? Barabbas, the robber, the armed robber, the thief. They prefer him to Jesus. So the crowd, they are not always right. That is where the counsel, the discernment of the men and women of God is important. That you can guide our people. So much propaganda. It's not about religion alone. It's not about tribe alone. We are looking for competence. Who can God use to save his people? Politics is pursuing policies and programs that will go to improve upon the conditions of life of the people. And we are saying, who can God use? We can't limit God. At any point in time, God can decide to use anybody to save and help his people. That is the God we serve. In Numbers 22, you know it better. In Numbers 22, you know it better. When Balaam was sitting on the ass, the horse, or the donkey, Balaam did not see the man of God standing in the way. It was the animal, the ass, who saw the angel of the Lord. And God made it possible for the animal, the ass, to speak to his master, to the master. That is God. Can we limit God? When it becomes necessary, he can even use an ass. In 1 Samuel 14:6, Jonathan, facing the Philistines, asked his armor bearer, who can restrain God for saving with few or many? You can't limit God. At any point in God, anybody who fears God and believes that his life is shaped by God and is prepared to fit into the will of God, to be of service to his people, that person, God will use that person. And so we cannot allow any negative propaganda to determine. No, we serve a living God who will determine at any point in time the person prepared, who has a good heart, who has good program. All wisdom is from God. Who has good ideas and who loves his people and has demonstrated it and is prepared to continue to commune with men and women of God. This assembly is not just for now. Our leader has directed that is something that by God's will and your prayers he is elected, he will continuously, regularly seek this communion and this fellowship with the men and women of God. It's going to be a regular practice of his government. And that is why we are here. We thank you again for your prayers and your patience. And at this juncture, that will invite the humble but firm, humble but forthright person God has endowed with so much knowledge, so much ideas, and is prepared to submit to the will of God to be of service to his people. Dr. Bawumia, please speak to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My campaign chairman, and if he was not into politics, he would have been a priest like all of you here. Thank you so much. Eminent clergy, my good friend, Bishop Peter Paul, the ministers of state and members of parliament, our national executives, our CEOs, my campaign team, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, men and women of God, I greet all of you. Good afternoon. It is really a pleasure, an honor, and a privilege to have the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. I come before you as the presidential candidate and leader of the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 elections. I was elected as presidential candidate for the party in November of last year, 2023. And I have just begun my campaign tour. As my campaign chairman has told you, I've been to the Eastern region, Western North. I've been to Ahafo-Bono and Bono East, Northeast, and today I'm in Savannah. And I have one clear understanding, and that is that it is only God who selects leaders. It is not men. It's only God who selects leaders. The good Bible says that unless the Lord builds the house, they will labor in vain, those that build it. And so that has always been a guiding principle. Because if you look at it, when I was contesting to become flag bearer and leader of the party, many people said it wasn't going to happen. They said the NPP has never chosen someone from the north to lead them. But I said, if it is the will of God, it will happen. It is possible. And we went for the election, and it is clearly the will of God. I was elected with the highest margin of any first-time candidate in the NPP. And the NPP, as you know, is not a predominantly Muslim party. It is a predominantly Christian party. But I stood, and I was a Muslim, and I was elected to become the leader. That tells you about the diversity within our party, and I believe the workings of God, because God can use anybody to change a society. Anybody. His ways are not our ways. And in the Bible, you know of the story of Cyrus,
and how God used Cyrus to help the people of Israel. That is very there. Cyrus was even not a believer in God. He did not know God, but God still used him. A friend of mine who is a priest jokingly asked me, he said, "Can anything good come out of Wale Wale?" And I said, yes, if it is the will of God, something good can come out of Wale Wale. And so, this is the nature of my story. I was born into a family, very good family, loving family. My father, at the time my father was marrying my mother was a Christian at the time. So she had to convert to marry my father. She was one of those who were sent to Wesley girls in those early days. And my father as a whole had 17 surviving children. We are 17. But what is interesting about our family, he wasn't joking, right? 17 children, a football team with reserves. He had 17 children, but one of the interesting things about us is that 9 of us are Christian and 8 of us are Muslim. The same family. The same family. And so, as a boy, I was a member of the Methodist Boys Brigade. I was a strong member of the Methodist Boys Brigade in Sakasaka. And then, today, I am vice president, and I am also a patron of the Methodist Boys Brigade of Ghana today. So, we are a very blessed country. Our country, Ghana, I believe, is very blessed. And we are blessed largely because of the religious tolerance that we have amongst the religions in Ghana. It's very special. Most of the time, we take it for granted. But in fact, that type of tolerance and acceptance of each other is unique to us. It is, for me, the heart of the peace that we enjoy in Ghana. Ghana is the most peaceful country in West Africa, and one of the